How China survived the 19th century without disappearing. Any other empire would have collapsed. By the mid-1800s, China had lost wars it never expected to fight, faced rebellions that killed tens of millions, and watched foreign powers carve out its ports, its economy, and its sovereignty. And yet, China did not vanish. It did not become a colony. It did not dissolve into history like so many empires before it. This is the story of how a civilization on the brink of extinction endured the most dangerous century of its existence and survived. At the dawn of the 19th century, China still saw itself as the center of the world. The Qing dynasty ruled over a vast population, fertile lands, and an ancient bureaucratic system refined over 2,000 years. Foreign trade existed, but on China's terms. Western merchants were restricted to a single port. Diplomats bowed. Tribute flowed inward. To the Qing court, Europe was distant, unruly, and fundamentally inferior. But beyond the horizon, the world was changing, faster than China realized. Industrialization had transformed Europe's economies and militaries. Steam-powered ships ignored winds and tides. Rifles replaced bows. Cannons shattered wooden walls. And global trade demanded access, not permission. The collision was inevitable. It came in the form of a commodity, opium. When Qing officials attempted to shut down the opium trade that was devastating Chinese society, Britain responded not with negotiation, but with war. The First Opium War was short, brutal, and shocking. China's fleets were destroyed with ease. Its fortifications were helpless against modern artillery. When the war ended, the Treaty of Nanjing forced China to open its ports, cede Hong Kong, and accept foreign legal privileges on its own soil. For the first time in centuries, China had been humiliated by outsiders, and it would not be the last. What followed was not a single collapse, but a slow unraveling. Foreign powers demanded more access, more ports, more influence. France, Russia, the United States, Japan, each carved out economic privileges. China's sovereignty eroded piece by piece, but the greatest danger came from within. In 1850, a failed scholar named Hong Xiuquan launched a rebellion unlike anything the world had ever seen. Claiming to be the brother of Jesus Christ, he promised a new heavenly kingdom, one without Qing rule, Confucian hierarchy, or traditional religion. The Taiping Rebellion exploded across southern China. Cities fell, provinces burned, entire regions were depopulated. By the time it ended, more than 20 million people were dead. Any empire facing invasion, economic collapse, and a civil war of this magnitude should have fallen. China did not. Why? Because survival did not come from strength, but from adaptation. As the Qing army faltered, local elites stepped in. Scholar officials raised their own militias, loyal not to revolution, but to stability. Figures like Zheng Guofan built regional armies that crushed the Taiping, not through modern technology, but discipline, organization, and loyalty. This decentralization saved the dynasty, but at a cost. Power drifted away from the imperial center. China survived, but it emerged fractured. At the same time, reformers began to ask forbidden questions. What if China was not superior? What if survival required change? The self-strengthening movement was born, not a revolution, but an uneasy compromise. Western weapons were adopted, shipyards built, telegraph lines installed, but Confucian governance remained untouched. Chinese learning for essence, reformers said, Western learning for utility. It was not enough. In 1895, Japan, a nation China had long viewed as a cultural junior, defeated the Qing in a modern war. Korea was lost. Taiwan was ceded. The illusion of superiority shattered completely. Then came the final humiliation. In 1900, fear of foreign domination erupted into the Boxer Rebellion. Anti-foreign fighters stormed cities, attacking missionaries and diplomats. The Qing court hesitated, then sided with the Boxers. The response was devastating. An international coalition invaded China, captured Beijing, and imposed massive reparations. Foreign troops marched through the imperial capital. The dynasty survived, but barely. And yet, despite everything, China was never formally colonized. Why? Because no single power could dominate it. China was too vast, too populous, too complex. Foreign powers competed with each other, preventing total takeover. Administration of such a massive land would have been ruinously expensive. And crucially, China's civilizational identity endured even as the state faltered. Beneath the chaos, Chinese society adapted, local governance continued, cultural continuity remained, Education, language, and shared history held firm. When the Qing dynasty finally fell in 1911, it was not the end of China, but the beginning of its transformation. The 19th century did not destroy China, it forged it. Out of defeat came reform. Out of humiliation came nationalism. Out of survival came the determination to never again be so vulnerable. China did not escape the century unscarred, but it endured because it bent, fractured, and adapted when others would have shattered. Empires fall when they cannot change. Civilizations survive when they do. If you enjoy cinematic stories about the moments history almost ended, subscribe for more forgotten chapters of the past.